Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the Cabin Fever Podcast. It's Brent Bailey. Hopefully you're having a great day today. We are having a good day here at the Cabin Fever Studios. Tell us what you're doing and where you are today, where you're watching from, where you're listening from. We got a great show planned for you today. I say we because I have got some added elements to the show today. I have a production staff. This will be the first time I'm not doing this by myself. I've got my wife Jody with me today, and I've got our director Luke Cardiel is with us today.
Hello, hello.
And yes, join in. Hi, say hi, Jody.
Hello.
I know you guys can't see them. We're still working on cameras, but they are here and they are live with me today. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Got a great show planned for you today. I have WWE superstar Marc Mero is going to be with us today. Some people remember him as Johnny B. Bad. Other folks remember him as Marvelous Marc Mero, Mean Marc Mero. There are many names that he goes by, but today he's going to be here to talk about his story, but he's going to be telling us about the new things that he's got going on with thinkpause.org, and we'll have him on in just a few minutes to kind of give you a little rundown of that. I don't know how many of you know this, but today is a very special day. Not only is it Monday, but today is National Donut Day. Woo! And I know that makes people that I know very happy. Jody is
Yes.
like over there right now, lifting her hands and worshiping the Lord. And but today you can now. So that brings us to the question of the day. In the comment section below, why don't you drop down there and tell us, where is your favorite donut and what kind is it? For me, I've only found it in a few places, But if you could do me a favor, Luke, and give me a little more volume in my ears. I have one place that I can. I haven't been able to find it very often, but in Flatwoods, Kentucky, where I grew up, there is a shop called Dave's Bakery, and it's been there since I was a little kid. And they have just your normal cake donuts, but what they do is they put peanut butter icing on them, and it is heavenly. And I guess I have a thing for peanut butter. I had a lot of folks saying something to me the other day about the peanut butter and jelly steak that I made the other day. Some people were like, yeah, exactly. They were like, oh, it sounds so gross. It's not. It's so good. Everybody needs to try it at least once in their life. You just rub it on there, slather it on it. Look at the video. I posted a video of how to prepare it. It's great. It's not at all what you think it's going to be. It's going to be. It's a perfect complimentary taste. But what is your favorite donut, and where do you get it from, Luke?
I'm gonna have to go with just a chocolate donut
From Dunkin', Krispy Kreme.
We'll go Dunkin'.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin'.
All right. There's a lot of folks out there that like Dunkin' Donuts. Jody?
Honestly, it depends on the day, but Winchell's Donuts in California.
I knew you were going to say Winchell's because most everybody from California does.
Anybody watching on the West Coast, Winchell's is the way to go.
And what flavor do you like there?
Chocolate, maple, you name it.
Yeah. I'm just going to stick with the peanut butter frosting donut with the from Dave's Bakery. Now I like the pink strawberry icing as well. So my mom and dad are very particular. They like the heart-shaped donuts around Valentine's Day, or the shamrock ones from Jolly Pirates. They're in Ashland, Kentucky. They do the heart-shape, the Christmas tree at Christmas, and they're cream-filled. The shamrock around Thanksgiving. I think they do pumpkins at Halloween. Not Thanksgiving, St. Patrick's Day. So those are all good places to get your. So where is your donut today? Because today is the free donut on National Donut Day. So wherever you're going to go, I know Dunkin's is serving. I know Krispy Kreme is serving. So where are you going to go and have that today? All right. So let us know. Drop down in the comments below and let us know. All right. Now, before we bring out our first guest, I want to say one thing. With everything going on in the country right now, first of all, our hearts go out to the family of George Floyd. We've been praying for their family. I know at this time in our history, sometimes some people say prayer is not enough. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, to say prayer is not enough. However, I do think that we're not just supposed to pray. I believe that this is a time that we need to be demonstrating our rights as Americans and the love that we do have for the African American community. It's imperative for them to feel the support of the rest of us as they're going through this right now. Listen, African Americans out there, we love you. We're with you. We're standing with you. We're as outraged as you are. Amen. And we're going to be talking to our leaders in our community. I know last night there was some demonstrating going on here in this part of Florida. I know there was some downtown in Orlando. There has been some all across Kissimmee, St. Cloud, down in Davenport, and there's been demonstrating going on. And let me just say, we support that. We support your right to go out and protest and demonstrate and let your voice be heard, because it does need to be heard and it does deserve an audience. And so with that being said, we just want you to be safe out there. We want you to use wisdom. And those are the rest of the folks that are stirring up the violence and stirring up the burning down of buildings. We do understand the anger from the black community, and we sympathize, and we're with you, and we're angry as well. The rest of those folks who are inciting riots, that are not peaceful protesters, who are not just trying to draw attention to this problem, but they're trying to capitalize on this, those are the folks that we say we do not condone that. We speak against that, and we're not for that. So don't try and make this about yourself. Don't try and make this about something it's not. We're here to see equal rights for everybody in this country and in the world. They need to see equal rights across the board. Everyone needs to be treated fairly. We're all children of God. We're all created in His image. and we stand with you today. And I know I'm speaking for Luke and for Jody and everybody at our church and things like that. We are with you, and we stand with you, and we support what you're doing. And so with that being said, let's move on with the program. Our hearts and prayers are with you today. All right. Our guest today is somebody that if you follow the wrestling world at all, you will definitely know my guest today. Marc Mero is a former WWE wrestling champion. I believe he held the Intercontinental Championship. He's also written a book called How to Be the Happiest Person on Earth. He reached the pinnacle of sports. In sports entertainment, then he lost everything. In the process, he discovered what is most important in life, and that is everybody faces adversity, and it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. You can do anything that you set your mind to. And that's the message that Marc is taking out into the public and into the world. He has one of the leading school presentations on anti-bullying in the country right now. He, like I said, he's an author, former boxer, former WWE superstar. Please welcome to the program. My guest today is marvelous Marc Mero. Hi, Marc. How are you? It's good to have you here today.
Like that, I got to take you on tour with me.
Well, I'll just charge a small fee. All right, so it's so good to have you here today. How have you been, my friend?
Oh man, I've been doing really well. Considering the fact that we're all going through this together. But I got to tell you, it's sometimes things like this really get our attention. And I was on pace. I was doing about 250 events a year, past 13 years nonstop.
Oh my goodness.
And all of a sudden it just completely ended. But, it's almost like God puts you in a place where you reinvent yourself, because I got to tell you, Brent, sometimes we take for granted the very things in life we should appreciate. And especially if it's at the expense of our relationship with Christ, it really can affect everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that I've talked to, we have a lot of mutual friends. I talked to Dave Martin. I've talked to some Bob Harrison. I've talked to some other folks that are traveling, and they're saying the same thing, that it's been something it's been a setback, but it also has put a lot of things into perspective. And I'm glad to hear that you're saying the same thing, and that God's doing some really good things in your life. So let's get started. I know that I'm very familiar with you because I was a big wrestling fan all those years ago, even back in WCW. We used to watch Saturday nights and Sunday nights on TBS, and then when they moved on to TNT and all those kind of things. But you were a boxer before that, though.
I was, yeah. I won the New York State title like 3 times, or I think I had 4 or 5 state titles altogether, and then I went on to be on the USA boxing team, and then I decided to turn professional, and that's where my life took a turn. Was 2 weeks before my first professional fight, I had my nose shattered in an accident, and in that time off, I just fell with the wrong people, got into drugs real heavily, and became an addict. And and it's like 10 years of my life just flew by, and it wasn't until later on in life that I made this amazing comeback. And I guess you can't have a comeback without a setback, right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so what year did you start wrestling?
I started wrestling in 1991, and my last match was 2006. So altogether, on and off, it was about 14 years.
Okay, so do you remember who your first match was against?
Yes, it was against a tag team named Doom. It was Ron Simmons and Butch Reed.
Yeah.
Some bad dudes, man.
And then your last match. Who was your last match?
My last match was against the,
it was memorable, I guess.
Goldberg. Goldberg.
Is that right?
Goldberg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was kind of a playoff of Goldberg.
Yeah,
but his
I got
name was Gilbert. It was like a comedy thing, but that was my last match. And then, I'm sorry. I actually made a 2006 my last match. It was against Blue Meanie and Norman Smiley, tag team match I had.
Okay, awesome. So you were in that industry for a long time, and I got to tell you, I had Nikita Koloff on just a few weeks ago, and it just seems like there's a real revival that's going on amongst a lot of these retired wrestlers.
Absolutely, with Sting and Ted DiBiase, his son. Nikita is incredible. There's just so many of us now that have been in that dark place that are now serving Christ and, wanting to help as many people as possible. It's, the greatest joy is helping somebody else.
So let's talk about that for a minute. What do you think it is about is it the entertainment business in general, or is it wrestling that so many guys have had to take such a dark turn during that time?
Well, in particular wrestling, we used to do about 250 events a year, and there's only about 22 spots available for television. That's where you make the big money with big guaranteed contracts that we had. And if something happens, like if you're not ready to go, there's 10,000 guys behind you that are, and and obviously when you get injured, it's so hard to wrestle being injured. I mean, when you think of the Super Bowl, after the Super Bowl, they have like 4 months off before they have to go back to training camp. When we had our Super Bowl was like WrestleMania, we're at Monday Night Raw the next night. There's no time off, man. And your body takes a beating. I've had about 14 surgeries now. And so pain medication was a big thing when I was there. And of course, recreational drugs. And it's like, you travel and people are leaving bars open all night for you, and there's a lot of temptation involved with it. And there's some guys that can do it great. There's other guys that really messed up, and I was one of the guys that really messed up.
And so during that time, and you obviously you led into it there by saying you got really messed up. God got a hold of your life somehow. Tell us that story of how that happened. How did you turn everything around?
Well, it was mine was pretty drastic. I lost my little brother and sister. They both died at 21. My mom died at 58. My dad died while I was holding him in my arms. Then, of course, I went through a divorce, and it was so painful. And it was like I lost everything. It was like everything you worked for, everything you hoped in life. Your whole life, you dream of being rich and famous, and you travel the world in search of what you think you wanted, and you come home to find it, but it's too late. And for me, it was too late. Once my ex left and experienced so much death, I didn't want to be here anymore. And it came to the point where I wanted to end my life. And if it wasn't for me getting on my knees and asking Christ to come into my life to forgive me, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you today. Everything changed. I mean, the tallest I've ever stood was that day I got down on my knees. And now I pray and I hope and pray that his love and light shines through me in some way.
So you get saved, you turn your life over to Christ, but you didn't just decide to maintain there. You decided to use your platform to begin to share a message. And I know that when I first met you, you were actually kind of still relatively new to the speaking arena. You spoke at one of Bob Harrison's events, and tell us about getting started into that. What was that like? I mean, because it had to be
terrifying.
Yeah, I was going to say it had to be a completely different thing for you.
I got to tell you, Brent, I wrestled in front of 80,000 people and felt more comfortable than getting in front of a couple hundred people at a conference. It was it's because you really, to be a successful speaker, you really got to strip off everything. And what I mean by that is that my story is very raw, and you don't know how people are going to take it. When you talk about the death and the extreme things I went to and the things I've experienced, and then making this amazing comeback in life. And, don't get me wrong, but my life's not perfect. Nobody's is, but it's not about our circumstance or situation. It's how you respond to it that makes all the difference. And having Christ in my life gives a whole different response than what I would have made years ago. And I love, sharing my story because I love seeing it impact other people. There's not often a dry eye in the house when I speak, and it brings people to really examine their own life and what they're going through, and maybe they experience some of the similar things that I went through. So it seems to help a lot of people.
Okay, so now you're out and you're going to schools, and you're one of the leading school presenters in the country right now with this anti-bullying campaign that you do through thinkpause.org. Tell us about that. How did that come about?
Well, I first spoke to a Melbourne high school football team. They just wanted me to come in and speak about performance-enhancing drugs in sports and things like that. And it really impacted the players a lot. So they told another school, and they said, hey, would you like to come and speak to the school? I was like, oh, sure, I'd love to. If it helped these guys, maybe I could help the whole school. And it just morphed into what's relevant issues that students are going through, whether it's depression, anxiety, self-harm, suicidal thoughts. We're losing so many kids today. And there's a hopelessness out there that's so prevalent. And I just wanted to make a difference. I just wanted to help kids because I understood what they were going through because I went through it myself. And that's the best gift, I think, that God has allowed certain things in my life that I went through. And we have a free will. And somehow God held on to me, and then now I get to speak about what I went through and hopefully help other people not have to go through the same things that I went through.
Yeah. So you're traveling 250 some days a year. It sounds like you picked up your old travel habits, but how many schools a year are you doing?
When we do about 250 events a year, some schools we have to do 2 events or 3 events at that school to get all the kids in, especially auditoriums where they only hold 1,000 kids. We do some really big schools, but what's really cool now, Brent, is that like we spoke in Texas, and they busted 10 schools into an arena where we did 8,000 kids at once. So we're seeing these big events that we're doing, but it's always expanding. We're always doing a couple hundred schools a year. And it's incredible. I tell you, the greatest thing we do is we'll do schools all week and then in that area. And then we have a church that we bring everybody to on the weekend. Awesome. And I always leave the stage by saying, if today touched your heart, Sunday at whatever church I'm at will change your life. And we often see some of these great outreaches at churches where they go, this is the best outreach we've ever had. And we lead a lot of people to build relationships with Christ and accept him as Lord and Savior. Awesome.
Now, Mark, as you've been facing COVID, and now we're facing a whole, it's almost like it's still going on, but now we're facing this thing with the racial tension that's really hit our country right now. I want to give you some space here to really encourage the people, because some people are rebuilding their lives after COVID-19, and now there's a whole nother crisis that we're facing, that people are still starting to, how am I going to get through this? What is it that I can do with my life to really make this thing turn around for me? As somebody that's been there, lost everything, and has rebuilt, what would you say to everybody today listening that could be a word of encouragement for them?
Brent, this is like we are all in a kind of a perfect storm. What's happening with this COVID and the racial tensions we're having around the country, and not only that, the political scene that we're in too, with China and all these other things that are happening right now. It's just you feel like there's no hope. It's like people are wondering, what are we going to do? But this is where faith comes in. Fear builds mountains. But man, I tell you, Brent, faith removes them. And I don't know what's around the corner for me. I don't know what's going to happen, but faith sustains me. I mean, I know that, this didn't surprise God. God didn't go, oh my gosh, I can't believe what's happening. I mean, nothing surprises him, and he knows exactly what's going to happen through this. But I got to tell you something, through our struggles, we find our strength. And many of us have found strength that we never even knew we had. Yeah. Never give up hope, This is a time, I actually personally, because I wanted to get closer to the Lord during this time too, I started reading Romans today. And when you read Romans, I mean, that book starts right out at you, man. They talk about the times back then, and then you kind of realize that those are kind of like what's happening now with people, See, it's not so much of a skin thing, it's a sin thing. And we've really got to turn our lives to Christ. Maybe it's a wake-up call for all of us to start reaching out to God, getting on our knees, praying with our families, spending that He's given us quality time that we often say, if I only had time to spend with my kids or whatever. Well, you got time now. Now be the leader in your household. Grab their hands, pray with them, man. Let them feel special. Let them know that there is hope. And our hope is eternal. Our hope is a God that loves us. Not only loves us, he adores us. That he loved us so much, he died for us. that's what I have to say. Is there's our hope right there.
Amen. Our guest today is Marc Mero, former WWE champion and superstar. Man, Marc, I'm really so glad to have you on the program today. I want to ask you a couple of rapid fire questions if you're game for it.
I'm ready for it.
And then we'll let you get out of here. Okay. Professionally, let's talk back to the boxing and wrestling days. Professionally, who was your go-to mentor, kind of that got you really going in the business and helped you make it through?
In boxing was my trainer Ray Rinaldi, and he's 90 years old today, and he's still going strong. He's still coaching all the kids, and he's saved so many kids' lives. He's my mentor, my hero in my life is Ray Rinaldi. And in wrestling, it was I have to say there's two: Boris Malenko, who taught me how to wrestle at his school, and then of course Dusty Rhodes, who gave me my first break as the character Johnny B. Bad.
That's so cool. And we don't have the Dream with us anymore. Man, I used to love to watch him. Okay, so all right, now moving on into your walk of faith, who have you really been mentored by there?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good one, because I've been so blessed with so many great men of God in my life, including our friend Dave Martin.
Yeah.
I've known Dave for years, and not only do I, he's a joy to be around, because he's probably not only a spiritual man, but one of the funniest guys I've ever met.
It's true.
Pastor Mark Sharona, who ordained me as a minister, so I'm blessed to know him, and that he saw that much in me to give me that amazing grace and gift. So I would say those two, and there's many more. There's Chris Whaley. There's so many more guys that spoke into my life and helped me along the way.
All right. What was if you look back now, and I know that the answer to this would probably be your walk with the Lord, but aside from that, what do you think is the biggest victory that you've achieved in your life after walking with Jesus?
Getting off drugs. Anyone that is addicted to drugs, it's one of the hardest things to finally kick that. And it was 2003 is the last time I've ever touched a drug. Like my drug of choice back then was cocaine, and it completely left my life when I gave my life to Christ. It's amazing. No rehab. It was just an amazing journey, and so I never looked back. And it's the one thing I know any drug like that would kill me. I know God has kept me here for a reason.
All right. Okay. Looking ahead to the future a little bit, what's the next big goal? I know that we want to get back out on the road and get to preaching and sharing, but what's the next big goal for your ministry or for thinkpause.org? What's the next big thing you're wanting to accomplish?
Brent, it's funny you asked me that, because it's crazy. Just a couple of weeks, I turned 60 years old. 60.
Oh my gosh, you look great.
I feel great. 60 is the next 35, man. But I feel great, and I'm not going to retire. I'm just going to refire.
Yeah.
And that's what I plan on doing. I'm always looking towards new things. These virtual presentations, I think, are going to be very big in the future. Doing things like you're doing with the Zoom and some of these programs. We do it. Our YouTube channel has exploded with over 100,000 subscribers now. So we're looking to do more stuff virtually. We built a studio here in Maitland, Florida. So I'm just looking to still connect with people, and it's they say when you find your passion, you never have to work. I've been unemployed now for 13 years.
All right. So I didn't realize your offices were in Maitland. We're just down the road from you in Davenport right now. So we need to get together and have lunch or something sometime.
Gotta get together sometime, my friend.
We live too close together to not see each other. Okay. All right. Last question. And this is, well, I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. What was your favorite moment in your career as a wrestler? I don't want to sound like a fanboy here. That's why I'm trying to phrase it the right way, because I want to go, was it meeting Hulk Hogan or what? I'm not trying to be a fanboy here. I'm just wondering, what was the highlight of your career as a wrestler?
I guess, probably the first time I won a belt. It was a world television title I won from Steven Regal. And then, then when I went to WWE, I won the Intercontinental title, but I had to win it in a tournament where I had to beat guys like Owen Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin. So that was Farouk, Ron Simmons, so that was a big accomplishment. And I just something that you look back and you go, wow, that I got to do that. And it was a lot of fun. And, and then the video plays over and over again,
That's so cool. Marc Mero is our guest today, and Marc, at the risk of sounding like a fanboy, we sure enjoyed our time with you and enjoyed your career. Thank you for making a difference in the world today. It really does mean a lot to folks like us, that are pastors and speakers, to see people rise up from the ashes and go out and make a difference. And man, we're sure proud of you and sure happy for you, and we just wish you nothing but the best.
Oh, Brett, thank you for your friendship. You're awesome, man. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
All right, that sounds good. Marc, have a great rest of your day. Go out and make a difference, and just keep on fighting, man.
Amen.
All right, take care. That's Marc Mero. Marvelous, mean Marc Mero, former WWE champion and professional wrestler, and now school speaker and rally around he does rallies all over the country. Throw his information back up there. If you'd like to reach out to Marc, you can go to thinkpause.org. You can reach out to him on Instagram and Twitter at Marc Mero, on Facebook at Marc Mero Page, and then Champion of Choices on YouTube. He was talking about that a little bit ago, how that's began to explode for them. We are so happy for him and what they're doing. So why don't you reach out to him? If you're a school principal or an educator, and I know several that watch the program that are, why don't you consider having Marc in, because what his messages are incredible. All right. This week, we've got a lot of things planned for the show. I'm going to try my best on Wednesday to have somebody in here who is an authority on racial relations, and I'm working on that right now. I don't want to give it away who it is, but he is somebody that I admire and somebody that I look up to, that is a real fatherly voice in this time. And then looking ahead to Friday, I can go ahead and tell you that I have booked as our guest one of the fastest women in the world. Alexis Love is going to be with us she's part of the, she's just recently retired, of Team USA track and field. And she, at one point, when I first met her, she was like the 10th fastest woman in the world. Of all the track stars of the world, she was number 10 in the world. And she's now started a ministry based out of Houston, Texas, called Motivate by Love, and we're going to have her with us on the program Friday, so you don't want to miss that. All right. Listen, that's going to wrap it up for the show today. My thanks to Luke and Jody for being with me. You guys did a great job. Has allowed me to actually pay attention fully to the interview and talk about what they're interested in. I'm so excited about the direction of our podcast here. Why don't you do us a favor and click the share button down below it so that people can actually reach out and watch the show. You are our best means of advertising. So thank you so much for doing that. Continue to share that and tell everybody where we are. If you'd like to follow us on social media, if we can throw that up there, that'd be great. It's at the Cabin Fever Podcast on Facebook, the Cabin Fever PC on Twitter, and the Cabin Fever Podcast on Instagram. Why don't you follow us on one of those, share one of those. You can find us on our YouTube channel. We don't have enough followers yet to get a custom domain. So why don't you go ahead and follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube so that we can change that name to match everything else. We love you guys so much. We pray that you have a great rest of your day. Join us Wednesday at 2:30 for more. Get outside and break the cabin fever. Love you. Have a great day, everybody.